Welcome back to the new session, children. In the last few classes, we were learning about the balance of payment. Now, today we are going to learn the chapter 5 itself and the next topic of chapter 5, that is foreign exchange rate. The chapter name is balance of payment and foreign exchange market. We are dealing with the same chapter, the next topic of chapter 5, that is foreign exchange market. Now, the topic foreign exchange rate is the one which we are focusing on. So, we need to know what is a foreign exchange rate and why we are studying foreign exchange rate along with the balance of payment. Now, what is the relationship between balance of payment and foreign exchange rate? Now, you all know what is a balance of payment. Balance of payment is a financial statement. It is a systematic record of all the economic transactions taking place within a country and the rest of the world. Now, I told you in economic transactions we have both export as well as import. In economic transaction, we have both export and import. All these topics you have learned, but I am just helping you to recall what you have learned in balance of payment to make you clear why we are learning the foreign exchange rate in accordance with the balance of payment. Now, in balance of payment, you all know there is an economic transaction, and in that economic transaction, there is export as well as import. Now, through export, there is inflow of foreign exchange. Inflow of foreign exchange. And through import, there is outflow of foreign exchange. So, through export there is inflow of foreign exchange, we are getting the foreign exchange, and through import there is outflow of foreign exchange. Now, if there is inflow of foreign exchange, it means what? The receipt. If there is inflow of foreign exchange, it means there the receipt is greater than payment. Inflow of foreign exchange means we are getting, therefore receipt is greater than the payment. If receipt is greater than payment, we have learned there is a condition of surplus balance of payment. So, when do we know there is a surplus of balance of payment? If a receipt is greater than payment, or if the inflow of foreign exchange is greater than the outflow of foreign exchange. There we can find out the significance or the relationship between foreign exchange and balance of payment. If we want to know whether the balance of payment is in surplus, we need to know about the foreign exchange, whether the inflow of foreign exchange is greater or lesser. If the inflow of foreign exchange is greater, we can say that there is a surplus of balance of payment. Likewise, if the outflow of foreign exchange is greater, that means what? Outflow is more, our payment is more than receipt. That means receipt is lesser than payment. So, we can write it in two ways, whether the receipt is lesser than payment or payment is greater than receipt. So, if the receipt is lesser than payment, there will be deficit BOP. There will be deficit balance of payment. So, when do we know there is a deficit in the balance of payment? If the inflow is less or the outflow is more. Outflow is more means what? Payment is more or the receipt is less. So, if the receipt is less than the payment, there is deficit in the balance of payment. So, to know whether there is a surplus or deficit in the balance of payment, we should have a clear-cut idea regarding the inflow and outflow of foreign exchange. That is the significance of learning the foreign exchange along with the balance of payment. Now, we will move on to the concept of foreign exchange. Now, when we move on to the concept of the foreign exchange, mainly three terms you have to be familiar with. The first term is, what is a foreign exchange? What is a foreign exchange? All currencies other than the domestic currency is called a foreign exchange. All the currencies other than the domestic currency. In India, the domestic currency is Indian rupee. All other currencies coming from outside is a foreign currency for us. Likewise, when our currency is moving out to the other country, for them it is a foreign currency. So, all the currencies other than the domestic currency is called the foreign currency. Now, next topic, next term that we have to be clear is foreign exchange rate. What is a foreign exchange rate? The definition is the rate at which one currency is exchanged for the other is known as foreign exchange rate. The rate at which one currency is exchanged for the other. Now you all know that in times of economic transaction where there is export and import, this kind of exchange takes place between the goods and services. For that, we need the exchange of currency also, isn't it? When we give something to outside, they will be paying in the form of their currency. When we buy something from outside, we will be paying in the form of their currency which is being converted, isn't it? So, for the payment and the receipt, we need this exchange rate. So, the rate at which one currency is exchanged for the other is known as the foreign exchange rate. Now, let us see that with the help of an example. $1 is equal to 75.76 Indian rupee. In terms of Indian rupee, that means $1 can be exchanged for 75.76 as per the Indian rupee. Now, what is the exchange rate of 1 pound sterling? 1 pound sterling can be exchanged for 92.42 as per the Indian rupee. So, this is the exchange rate. The rate at which one currency is exchanged for the other is known as the foreign exchange rate. Now, the next one is foreign exchange market. That is the other topic that we have to be, the other term that we have to be familiar with when we learn this particular chapter. What is foreign exchange market? It refers to a system where the foreign exchange is bought and sold. It refers to buying and selling of foreign exchange. When I taught the topic balance of payment, I made it very clear that who all are the main authorized dealers in the foreign exchange market. The buying and selling process that happens only through authorized dealers. Authorized dealers. Now, I think you can recall who all are the authorized dealers. I have given the example. The authorized dealers are RBI of all the countries, commercial banks of all the countries, commercial banks of all the countries, commercial banks of all other countries, then investors who are involved in the foreign exchange market, other financial institutions. I gave so many examples about the authorized dealers. So, these authorized dealers will be buying and selling the foreign exchange in the foreign exchange market. So, the place where or the system in which the buying and selling process of the foreign exchange takes place is known as the foreign exchange market. So, these three terms are the one which we will be constantly using in this particular chapter, and the most important term that we will be using in the whole chapter is foreign exchange rate. So, I hope all these three terms are clear to you: foreign exchange rate and the foreign exchange market. And we will be continuously using the term foreign exchange rate in this particular chapter, that is the rate at which one currency is exchanged for the other currency. So, I hope it is clear to you what is the relation between balance of payment and foreign exchange, and what is meant by foreign exchange rate and the foreign exchange market. Now, we will move on to the next topic, that is foreign exchange rate and its types of foreign exchange rate. Mainly, we have three types of foreign exchange rate. The first one is fixed exchange rate. The second one is flexible exchange rate. And the third one is managed floating. These are the three types of the foreign exchange rate. Now let us discuss with the first type of foreign exchange rate, and that is fixed exchange rate system. What is meant by this fixed exchange rate system? Now let me make you this particular point very clear. This type of fixed exchange rate system is not prevalent now. What we follow here is in the modern days is the flexible exchange rate system. So when we explain the two concepts, the content will be clear to you. What is meant by a fixed exchange rate system? What is meant by fixed exchange rate system? It refers to a system where exchange rate is fixed by the government. So government is the sole authority where the exchange rate is being fixed. I told you this happens, this was practiced in the olden days. It is not prevalent now. Now what is the system prevailed now is flexible exchange rate system. So when we learn about the flexible exchange rate system, the concept will be clear to you. Now as per the fixed exchange rate system, the exchange rate is fixed by the government. Government is the sole authority where the exchange rate is fixed. Now let us see what are the characteristics or features of this fixed exchange rate system. Characteristics or features of fixed exchange rate system. Now I have told you here the whole thing is done by the government of the country. There is no intervention of any other parties. The whole thing is handled by the government. So government is the one who deals with all kinds of foreign exchange. Now under the system, government, the important point to be noted, government undertakes to buy the foreign currency. Government is the main authority who undertakes the duty of the foreign currency. Now, government has to maintain, as the government is controlling the whole system, as the government is fixing the exchange rate system, it should have the reserves of foreign currency with it. Because it is the only body which fixes the foreign exchange rate. Therefore, it should have the reserve of the foreign exchange or foreign currency with it. So, it should involve, as it is the authority which should have the reserve of all kinds of foreign currency. Why it should have the reserve of all kind of foreign currency? Because it is the main body which fixes the exchange rate. Therefore, it should have the reserve of foreign currency. To have the reserve of the foreign currency, definitely government should involve in the buying and selling process of the foreign exchange. Am I right? So, for that, what the government does? Government will buy the foreign exchange when, or foreign currency, when the situation is favorable for it, when it is available for the government at a profitable rate. And it will sell when it is profitable for the government. So both takes place when the condition is favorable for the government. So government will be buying and selling the foreign exchange as per the atmosphere which is prevailing. So government, when the exchange rate becomes weaker, when exchange rate becomes weaker, the government will buy. So the government undertakes to buy the foreign currency when the exchange rate becomes weaker. That means when the foreign currency is available to us at a cheaper rate. That is what I mean. When the exchange rate becomes weaker means what? We should be able to, as far as India is concerned. For example, we will take the example of India. As far as India is concerned, we should get the foreign currency at a reasonable rate. So, during that situation, when the exchange rate becomes weaker means it will be favorable for us. The exchange rate of other countries should be low. So, it will be favorable for us. We can purchase the foreign currency for us if it is available at a lower rate. So, when it becomes weaker for another country, we can buy it. And sells when the exchange rate becomes stronger strong enough. So government will sell it when the exchange rate becomes stronger. So it will wait for the time where this exchange rate again increases. And you all know exchange rate will vary every day. Therefore, government will wait when this exchange rate can become higher. I told you, as per today's calculation, $1 is equal to 75 point as per the Indian rupee. So it can change every day. So as per the fixed exchange rate system, the government will wait and see whenever the exchange rate is becoming weaker and stronger. If it is weaker, the government will try to collect and purchase more and more foreign currency within it. When it becomes stronger from our point of view, who is buying and selling? From our point of view, if it is our country I am telling, so if it becomes stronger, we will be selling the foreign exchange in the market so that we can earn profit. So whenever the market becomes weaker and stronger, I hope it is clear to you, weaker in the sense when we are able to get the foreign currency at a profitable rate. When the exchange rate of that currency becomes lower, we can buy it. And if it becomes higher, we can sell it. So accordingly, the government will maintain that. So once again, the government undertakes to buy the foreign currency when the exchange rate becomes weaker and sells when the exchange rate becomes stronger. So this is what happens under the fixed exchange rate system. Now point number 2, government has to maintain large reserves of foreign currency. So government is the only authority which fixes the exchange rate. Therefore, government has to maintain a large reserves of foreign currency. That is why it is buying and selling the foreign exchange in the market whenever the situation becomes favorable for the government. Now we will move on to the third characteristics of this fixed exchange rate system. In the system, each and every country keeps the value of the currency in terms of external standard. What is meant by that particular statement? In this system, each and every country keeps the value of currency in terms of external standard. What do you mean by external standard? One country is always involved in trade relationship with another country. Then buying and selling of exchange happens every time. So in this particular system of fixed exchange rate system, what happens? Each and every country keeps the value of currency in terms of external standard. What is external standard? That is gold, silver, precious metals or any other country's currency. With the help of the examples, the concept will be more and more clear to you.